11 years of real estate experience, hundreds of transactions, and all of those lessons learned is what Raul Bolufe brings to the table today in the Self Investor Podcast. What this podcast is about, every Sunday we talk about real estate, entrepreneurship, and how you can do it too. If you like what you're seeing, all that I ask for is please like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want to do. But I would appreciate a little bit of a feedback. So hope you learn. Hope you enjoy. Welcome. Well, first of all, Raul, thanks for being here,
Yes,
man.
man. Awesome.
Appreciate it. Appreciate
having
it. Everyone that takes from his or her time to be here, I really appreciate it because I know that you have a lot of things to do. You know, you have your business, and I really, appreciate that.
Yeah.
So the first question that I always ask everyone that is here sitting down, how many real estate transactions have you done in your career?
Oh man, that's a good question. Right to it.
Yes, sir.
I would say it's between 700 to 720, somewhere around there.
Wow.
I haven't obviously counted exactly, but somewhere around there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you start 11 years ago, right?
Yeah, 11 years ago.
And so you have done 700 plus, right? And do you feel that back then when you started is different from today? Basically, if you will be starting today, would it be the same as when you started 11 years ago?
That's a really good question. The answer is no. It was way different for sure. Back then was 2012, 2013, 2014, that era. So we were doing MLS deals. That was like all we were doing, which actually now I feel there's a little bit more opportunity to be on the MLS now. So if I were to start today like I did last time, at this point in time right now, we're filming this, 2024, middle of 2024, I'd probably start on the MLS again. But yeah, it was a different landscape back then. Assignment fees, I would get a deal under contract and make maybe like 2,500 to 4,000, 5,000. Now it's gone up to like 19,000. So it was really different, but it was a lot easier to get the deal on the MLS than it was to sell it. Selling it was a mission, So anyways, that's how it was.
And I'm curious, back then when you started, what was like your average? What I would say, how many deals per month were you acquiring on the MLS?
Man, I know my first year I did 44, then I did like 60 something, then 70.
Wow.
So
all from the MLS.
I would say 95% from the MLS. I started doing off market maybe 3 years into it. I started doing some direct mail. When I first started, the first 3 months, I did my first ever deal was I bought a course back then from Joe McCall. I don't know I guess he's still around. Yeah, Joe McCall, and he had a course talking about text messaging, Go Section 8 landlords. So you go section8.com. You could see the house listed for rent and text them on Google Voice. Are they looking to sell their house? And that's how I did my first deal. So it was off market, but it was very hard. It took me 3 months. I made like $6,000, which was fine. It was great, but it was very hard to scale it at that time. I don't know why. There wasn't texting platforms like there is today. It was all different.
How many texts were you sending a weekly basis?
Oh, it's so funny. I just did I was prepping for a webinar I was doing, and I had to go back to 2013 when I first started sending text messages.
Wow.
And I still have my Google Voice account, so I was scrolling. I don't know. I had a virtual assistant, and we might have been sending, I don't know, probably 200 to 500 a day, something around that range. I can't remember exactly. And I remember I had to, I don't know if it still works this way actually, but I would go on the Google Voice platform. I would get the number from Section 8, and then I'd have to paste it on Google Voice, paste, and only let me paste 5 at a time.
Damn.
Send the message 5, send, paste, 5. So I had to get a VA to do that. But yeah, so that's how I got my first deal. It was quite interesting.
And why did you got into wholesaling in the first place, or real estate in general?
Well, yeah, it's almost like a lot of us do. We think that this is the best way, and it is, to gain some freedom, gain some wealth fairly quickly. If you do wholesaling fairly quickly, if you do buy and hold, it obviously takes longer. But man, when I was a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard in Hialeah. That was my first real job. I was getting paid $11 an hour. I went to a little seminar thing. I got my little license to be a lifeguard. And when I got my paycheck, I was like, dude, this is rough, you know? Miami wasn't even as expensive as it is now, but I already kind of knew. And my parents always did pretty good. You know, like my dad had a big car dealership, used car dealership. He came from nothing, from Cuba. But anyways, he built a good career for himself. My mom always was a hustler. Like she'd always have her own businesses. So I knew I would see kind of what it was like to have a good business. So then when I got my first check versus like when I'm seeing like my parents, I'm like, dude, this sucks. So then I started working with my father in the car dealership. I started washing cars and selling cars and doing all that.
So you actually were selling cars there. So you
Yeah.
built that skill that probably is helping you today.
Yeah, it was awkward because I was like 15 when I started washing cars there, 14, 15, part-time, you know, after school type of thing. Then I'm like, hey, I need to make more money. He said, all right, the only way to make more money is to sell cars. I'm like, all right, how much am I going to get paid? He said, oh, you're going to pay $250 per car sold. I'm like, there's no salary, no nothing. He's like, no, $250 per car sold. That was the commission back then. And it was a used car. And so I said, okay. But the catch was all the sales I had to do were in Spanish because this dealer was like right in the middle of like West Flagler, if you know what Miami is, but it's a very Cuban populated area. So I'm like, I know Spanish, but it wasn't that good. Anyway, so I had to learn how to sell cars in Spanish, you know?
Oof.
I was at that time, I was maybe 17 to 18 when I really started like, had my own little desk in the sales floor with all the salesmen, just like everybody. And it was a great skill to learn, but it was that got me into real estate because I was there. I realized, okay, I can make good money doing this. I can sell, like the skill of this is good. But man, to like, you know, if I want to like come on a show with you on a Saturday, or if I want to go hang out on a Sunday, my best days to sell cars were Saturday, Sunday. I was there, you know, to sell cars. Everybody knows the story. You got to be here all the time. It's a shark business. And I just saw that like the people I aspired to be like were in real estate, including my father. He had throughout the years bought in some pieces of real estate with partners, and I really liked that idea. So, you know, that's how I got in. I was like, man, the selling cars thing is cool, but it's not for me. It's not for me. So I'm like, the real estate is the way to go. And just like a lot of us do today, I looked at podcasts, YouTube videos, and then that's how I came across wholesaling because I didn't have much money or, you know, credit, you know, 17, 18 years old when I really started like kind of learning about it. And then I was 20, 21 when I actually like took action on it. But yeah, that's how I got into it, really, just like a lot of us do.
And then what made you go all in? Because, I mean, you're taking a risk of trying to do this wholesaling stuff at that point, right? So how did you prepare yourself, and what made you actually go all in?
Well, it's funny because when you're young, you know, 20, 21, I didn't even think of it that way, you know, because you just don't have you don't have much of a risk, you know. When you have a wife and kids, maybe you're 20 and you have a wife and kids, you know, or maybe you're 30 or 40 or 50. You have a little bit more risk. But then I didn't even think of it as a risk. The only thing that was risky was that I was leaving the family business, my father's business, which I had a future there, you know, and, you know, to make a good amount of money and stuff. So that was like the risk, like, crap, I'm leaving like something that could potentially pay me millions of dollars for like something completely new that I don't know anybody. I still don't have any money. Like, anyway, so man, that's a good question. I think I was so young and stupid and naive. I'll be honest. Like, I didn't even see a risk. I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay here doing this. I really don't like to do it, or I'm going to go and try it. And really, you know what's funny? What took me to go all in was when I first started getting my first leads. So I was already like 2021 at that time, and I started doing some of this texting I was telling you about with Google Voice and Go Section 8. And it took me 3 months to get a deal, but I had already started doing leads, and I was still working at the dealer a little bit. And I saw that I was getting people that were interested. It was hard to do a deal with them, but I'm like, man, if these people are interested, like I'm eventually going to do a deal. So even before I did a deal, I quit, or I went all in, because I was like, even though I haven't gotten one yet, I see it. I see it, like I could taste it. So that's what got me to go all in.
Yeah, because like you saw that it's possible, but maybe at the point that you weren't possible because you might don't have the skills yet or anything like that. So you're like, okay, I know this is possible. I don't know how to do it, but I know it's possible. So it's just matters of, like, it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
So you have to keep going. So that's basically what made you go all in, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. As soon as I saw that there was a little glimpse of hope, I'm like, man, let's do it. Let's go all in.
Wow. So basically, fast forward through, like, from that year to today, you have done 700 plus deals. So how's your company looking like right now? Like on average, how many deals are you doing? Are you doing wholesaling, flipping? Like what are you actually doing right now?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so right now, wholesaling mainly. We have some flips going on. We have some rentals, but really it's like selling almost everything. It was kind of basically for until December of 23. I had an office local in Miami. I had a big sales team and everything. And then I basically stopped working for 3 months. So I honestly just got like a little burnt out, and I talked about it on a podcast I did, but anyways, I had an office, I had the whole thing, and I really just got burnt out with the whole business and running a team. And I don't know for what reason. It is what it is, right? And then so I took 3 months off. So I started back up in end of February, early March of this year. And now we're all virtual. It's a small team of 4 of us, actually 5 now. So a small team of 4 or 5 people. And we're just doing wholesale, direct to seller, doing marketing and doing sales over the phone, getting contracts signed and selling it to
Nice.
buyers. Yeah.
Nice. So we were talking about earlier, and you mentioned that your main marketing source is inbound marketing, right? So you're running ads like Google, Facebook, and all that?
Yeah. PPC ads on Facebook. On Google. We're also doing Facebook ads. And we're buying leads from like pay-per lead sources. Like we're buying leads online from providers and stuff. And then since I've been in the business for a long time, I have a big database of, people that have wanted to sell, right? And so we're just constantly hitting the database and getting a lead that came in 2 years ago. Now they want to sell. And so I have 8,000 sellers that I've had throughout the year. So we're always texting, calling them, and bringing up deals to the pipeline there.
Understood. Yeah. Nice. Last podcast, we were talking about like innovations and, all these different creative strategies. Are you guys also doing like other creative strategies like innovation, sub-tools, all that, seller finance, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, right now, honestly, if you're doing direct to seller, you have to. You have to. If you don't know, you got to know, So the answer is yes. Yeah, we're doing innovations. We do like basically 3 offers per seller. Cash.
Okay.
Like a low cash offer.
Mm-hmm.
We do an innovation offer, which is a little bit higher. And then we do an owner finance offer, or a subject to if they have a mortgage.
Nice.
So yeah, the answer is yeah, we're doing all of the above. And in this market, it's a tougher market, so you have to,
So you've been 11 years, right, on the wholesaling industry. What's the most unconventional thing you think that you have done to get a contract? So that, like, I mean, it's a creative business, right?
Yeah,
like you have to do crazy things to make a deal work. So, what can you think about like the most unconventional thing that no one talks about?
Wow. Well, how much time do you have? No, just kidding. Well, it's funny. I was telling my sister the other day because my sister just started working with me, and she's getting used to what this is like, right? This is an interesting business, right? One time we had a seller. This was in Venice, Florida, and since we're not in Venice is by it's maybe 3-4 hours away from us here. So we had a seller. It was an off-market deal. They wanted to sell. We're talking to them on the phone, everything. They can't figure out their email to get it signed. So we had to send somebody to go sign it. So we hire somebody to go sign the contract with the seller. When the guy gets there, the guy that we hired, he's saying, hey, the seller is, being arrested right now. We're like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, the cops are here and they're putting him in handcuffs. And my acquisitions guy at the time, Marco, he tells me, because we're in the office, and he's like, tells me, and I go, oh, shoot. And I can't remember if it was him or me, but one of us said, bro, let's offer the runner, the guy who went to sign it, let's offer him more money to get it signed. So he's like, he called him, he said, look, I'll give you $100 if you just figure out how to get him to sign the contract before they arrest him. So somehow the guy convinced the cops to take off the handcuffs. He signed the contract. They put him back.
No
and
way.
They arrested him. We got the contract signed. But then it gets better. Then he gets out of jail the next day. Fine. Everything's going good. We're going through the title process. This takes a couple weeks. Then he stops answering the phone a couple days later. He's gone. We're like, oh my God, what happened? Then we get a call. He calls Marco. He says, hey, I'm in jail. He's like, hey, Marco, I'm in jail. I still want to sell my house, but I'm stuck here, and nobody wants to bail me out. We're like, how much is it to bail you out? He said, $2,000, or was it $2,000 or 2,500? I can't remember. 2,000, let's say. And we're like, look, we'll bail you out, but this is we're taking a risk. We don't even know if your house is going to close and everything. So anyways, we ended up bailing him out. We paid
What?
$2,000 to the jail. We bailed him out. We ended up getting a reduction, I think, of like $5,000 or something, just to like.
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
after betting out, come on, like
He,
you have
he
to.
had to walk, I think, 6 or 7 miles from the jail to his house because he didn't have a car. No one would pick him up. I didn't know that. If not, we could have called him an Uber. Anyways, he walked there. I think we had the closing, I want to say the next day or like very short period of time from there. We had to send the mobile notary. We got it closed out. And then it turns out after he went to his wife's house, his ex-wife's house, vandalized it, and then went to jail again. So after that, he was stuck. He was stuck in there. You know, I can help you once or twice, but that's it. You're done. But anyways, we got him out of jail. We got him a bunch of money because he made a lot of money in the house. But then he went to jail. We bailed him out. So that's one of the stories I can remember. And that was just like maybe 3 years, 2.5, 3 years ago.
Wow.
Say, yeah.
Wow. That is creative.
Yeah, that was creative.
That's crazy. And where do you think that most people that want to get in the business fail? That they're beginning and then they just fail because there's a high failure rate, I would say, in this business maybe.
Yeah.
So
Well, I would say in every business there's a high failure rate overall. You know, this one is high, but I think it's high because a lot of people think it's easy. You know, like if I'm going to tell you go start an airplane company, you'd be like, oh, that's hard. Yeah, but wholesaling, for some reason, everybody thinks it's easy, but it's a whole other business. You got to learn this and that. I think it's one of the first ones is misinformation. You know, you're just listening to the wrong information because like you've done it. You told me about your success, you know, doing over 20 deals in the first year that you're full time, which is incredible. You're a young guy, you know.
thank you.
And you know, I've seen people do it all every color, every shape, every size, every language. You know, I've seen it all. So anyone could do it. I think the first thing I would say is misinformation. Like, let's say you have a full-time job or a part-time job and you want to do some wholesaling, and you go on YouTube and you watch the wrong information or you listen to the wrong person, and you're spending 10 or 20 hours a week doing the wrong thing. You're probably going to fail. You know. Also, another thing I'll say, number 2 is expectations. Is you go into it thinking, you know, doing this, and this is going to get a deal when it's really like 10 or 100 times more, you know. When I used to do local meetups in Miami every month in person, you know, I used to meet people all the time, like just starting out, and they're like, oh, Raul, I made like 100 calls this week. I didn't get a deal. I'm like, brother, it takes like 600 calls just to get a lead, you know, on a dialer.
Exactly.
So like, also, I think the expectations is kind of flawed, which almost goes into the same thing that I was talking about with the misinformation.
Exactly.
Some people are like, call for sale by owners or make 10 offers on the MLS. Like, no, man, like it takes a lot, you know. So those are the 2 I could think of that are pretty hot.
And then in that case, how can you overcome that? So if you're starting out and you understand that those are 2 big, you know, things that might keep you from starting, how would you overcome that?
Well, I mean, getting around the right person or right people is it really helps with everything. You know, at the end of the day, it's just doing the right actions over and over and just not stopping until it's accomplished. Because it's not a matter of if this will work. It works. You know, there's I don't know if there's hundreds of thousands of wholesalers, but at least there's 10,000 wholesalers probably in the world. So it works, you know. And you're looking at 2 of them that have done deals, so it works. It's just how long will it take? You know, for me, it took 3 months to get a first deal. I've had friends that it took them 9 months to get their first deal. Does it mean that any of us were better or worse? No, just like sometimes the process takes a little longer for another person. So I would say to overcome that, follow the right piece of information, follow the right, you know, guidance, and just do it over and over until you get the deal, you get the result, you get the seller, you get the buyer.
Exactly.
You know, like, that's really it. Like there's no, there's better strategies in markets, and maybe if you're North Carolina versus Florida, it's different, but like different marketing that can work. But overall, just do the right thing until you get it.
So it's not like, it's not a question of will it work, it's a question of how do I make it work, right?
Right.
Because there's people that have done it, so if there's people that have done it, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, exactly. And just really giving up or just doing something completely off would probably be why they wouldn't get it.
Exactly. So now you mentioned that you have around 4 or 5 people on your team, right?
Yeah.
And what's your goal for this year and the upcoming years?
That's a good question. So yeah, I've been through a bunch of different goal setting and stuff with teams. Man, this year I just want to net a lot of money. So I've always been used to big teams. You know, I've had teams of up to 27 people in a wholesale team. You know,
Like in person?
in person, yeah. COO with 15 sales guys and 4 dispos and
Wow.
admins, you know, the whole thing, right? And I've learned a lot from it. I made a ton of mistakes, every mistake. But this year, the goal is just to net a good amount of money. Even if I stay small, I'm okay with that at this point. I don't think this is the market to expand a big wholesale business, in my opinion.
Why?
It's in the numbers. Like, there's just so much inventory coming up. There's the cost per lead is getting higher. The cost per deal is getting higher on the off-market side, okay? There's less investors in the market right now. There's less cash transactions happening. Like, there's less, you know? So if you just follow the numbers, now could you somehow be the exception to the rule and make it? Yeah, but I'm not going to bank on that, right? So that's why. There's just less cash buyers buying. There's more and more inventory coming out, which means that the few buyers that there are have more options.
Exactly.
And, you know, sellers are still pretty difficult, right? Like, you know, they still want $1 million, all this stuff. So until there's a bigger shift, I would say it's probably not the best time, but that's the reason I wouldn't like scale. So my goal is just to net a ton of money this year, stay small. I want to get out of some of my flips and rentals and cash out. And yeah, you know, keep meeting people like you, man. It's inspiring to see something like that. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. So you mentioned that you had a big team, right? So what was the best part and the worst part about it?
Good question. The best part for sure was like culture, was seeing people win, seeing somebody who's never done a deal before get their first deal, you know, seeing someone that used to make $3,000 a month make $15,000, you know, being in acquisitions, you know, seeing someone else run the company for you, you know, that was really rewarding. Helping people elevate, you know, like that was always my mission when I started the business, because you could do this as a one-man show. And I think, honestly, most people probably would make more money that way. I definitely would have made more money that way. But it was always like my mission. I wanted to be, I always seeked out help when I was starting. You know, I always had mentors. You know, I had Jim when I first started. Then I had Kent. Then I had Sean. Then I had a bunch of different mentors going through the way. So I always wanted to be that for somebody, you know. And the rewarding part was just seeing that, man. Like walking into the office and, you know, seeing somebody that has never done a deal get their first contract and their eyes light up, you know. Nice. Or seeing a dispositions person like talk to their first buyer and then get an assignment signed. Like, I don't know, like seeing the joy in other people, seeing the hustle in other people really brought me to life. You know, that I would say was the best. And also the moments that everything was functioning and, you know, I'm in Mykonos or in Ibiza and my team did 10 deals while I was gone. Obviously, it's very rewarding.
Wow.
You know, but there's also some cons to it, right? There's the whole other dark side of there's expenses, there's office, there's staff, there's CRM, there's technical difficulties like dialers and numbers and then there's you know, I had lawsuits happen from people from the team that did the wrong thing that I ended up getting sued, you know, because the owner gets sued, not the team member. So there's so many little things, right? Those are some I can think of. Obviously, we could go on for a long time, but you know, overall, I learned a lot of lessons, and I wouldn't trade it. It was something I wanted to do, something I wanted to accomplish. I always had the vision of that, and you know, I did it for a period of time, and
Nice.
You know, it's a learning lesson for sure.
And what was the most important lesson that you learned in that stage, or lessons? I don't know how you can share.
Psychology, people. At the end of the day, you know, I could have been a better leader, and I learned a lot of lessons when it came to being present with people, understanding really what they want and how to give it to them more frequently. You know, I probably, like a lot of people, you just, when you're going so fast and you're running and you're trying to like make more money and grow the business and do this, like you forget about the people that are really helping you. So I think the biggest lesson I learned was really truly understanding people and remembering that they're more important than anything. You know? So the people aspect for sure.
Yeah, because they are the one running the business when you're not there. So
exactly. And you forget that sometimes, you know, and
exactly.
You know, I admit I would forget, and I was young and making mistakes. It is what it is. But that's what I learned.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. And then I want to go back also when you mentioned about the you had meetings like a meetup monthly, right? You mentioned
Yeah.
that earlier.
Yeah.
And now you actually have like a small community or something like that,
Yeah.
right? In online. So what can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So one time I was in a mastermind, and I don't know if you ever heard of Sean Terry.
Yes, I don't know who he is exactly, but I've heard.
Sean Terry back then, 2012, 2013, he was like, maybe there was probably like 3 wholesale podcasts or something, and he was like the top one. And that's how a lot of people got started, like from that time.
Nice.
Anyway, so I saw him at a mastermind, and we were talking, he's like, you're not doing a meetup in Miami? Like, it's a big city. I'm like, no. He's like, go do a meetup every month. I'm like, why? He's like, just trust me, do it. You're going to get deals. You're going to meet people. It's great. So I started doing that. And so I went to meetup.com. I signed up for Meetup. I put on my Facebook, and, I put on my Instagram. And the first meetup, I think I had like 3 people. Then I had like 6, and then it was 7, and then it was 9, and then it was 3, and then it was 2, and then it was 20, So anyways, I started doing that, and I loved it. Like, I just loved teaching people. It was all free. I get free information. I talked about our deals. I talked about what was happening. They met the team. My team would stay. I loved doing it, So I did the meetup for a long time. And then, but what kept happening more and more was people were like, are you doing this online? Why don't you do this online? Hey, is this recorded? And the answer was no. Like, I was just like, no, it's in person. I kind of just do it in my office. But, and then obviously since I stopped the office and I stopped the in-person stuff, I'm like, all right, I think this will be more valuable for people online. And I think I'd be more, I could even do it more online because I could just do it from wherever. So instead of doing it once a month, now we do it once a week. And now it gets recorded, and now more people can join. And, so that's what it is. And now it's on skool.com, skool.com. And it's a free community. I have like an online course on there. I have all my contracts, everything like that. I have a bunch of free stuff. And then every Thursday at 12:30, we have a call.
Nice.
And it's just a free call. I just answer questions and tell people what we're up to.
Nice. So basically, you have that free course there, right?
Yeah.
It's a free course, and you also have contracts and all that there.
Yeah.
Nice. And the weekly meetups, are you just answering questions?
Yeah, I'll have different topics, but I don't really have an agenda. Like, I don't have like a set thing. Like, for example, let's say if I got 2 deals the previous week from something, I'll probably talk about it. I'll be like, hey guys, this is what worked for us this week. And then I'm like, what are you guys doing? What can I help you with? So things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And what's your goal with that? Are you like aiming for something specifically, or you just like want to provide value?
I mean, I've always gone from the approach of providing value,
Nice.
Really, I like to just talk with people who are actually trying to do this business, because I know how hard it can be. And I started with 0 deals also at one point, and I started with nothing. And and people helped me. I didn't do it because I'm some wizard or something. Like, I got a mentor that helped me get my first 5 deals. And then someone else helped me get my next 10. And then when I was struggling, I had a friend teach me how to do texting, and then I got 20 deals that way. So I always had people help me, and I'm always very transparent about that. So I want to be there for people, and that's my main goal, is just to be there to help people. Yes, eventually what I'm going to do is like a paid one that's even more intense, even better content, stuff that it's hard for me to portray to
someone that is starting out, maybe.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. More like I'll be able to help someone that's gotten 0 deals and starting out to do at least 1 deal every single month. That's like my goal. My next goal, if I do the paid one, is I want to help someone not get their first deal. Yeah, I want to help you do that, but I want to help you get at least 1 every month.
Because it's like actually building a business.
Yeah, because that could change. That can change someone's financial well-being. 1 deal is great because you can make $6K, $20K, $50, whatever. But man, to make an extra 10 every month, 6 every month, 8 every month, and I mean, you've done a bunch already. Like, it's not that hard if you know what to do. You got to do it. You got to learn how to sell. Got to learn how to talk and stuff. But that would be my goal, to help somebody do that.
And I think that a lot of people fail just trying to do like 1 deal. Like everyone's talking about, hey, this is how to get 1 deal.
Yeah.
But like it's not about that. It's about building a business. Like I prefer to get like 1 deal per month consistently, like at least for the first year or the first 2 years, that only doing like 2 deals the first month and then not doing anything, and then maybe a year I do like 5 more. You know, like it's about building that business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
And I see it online everywhere, you know, like, oh, here's this formula to get your first deal. Here's these 7 steps to get your first deal. It's like, that's cool. And everyone needs to get their first deal. But what about something that I can contribute to you every month, that you'll get 1 deal every month?
Exactly.
You know? And if you don't get there, I will give you leads until you do, you know, like I want to make it that good. And obviously there'll be something in it for me, just like it won't be free, but I'm going to help you make a good amount of money every month. So, and the idea is that eventually you don't need me, right? Like you get your 1 deal a month for a while and then you do it on your own, and I'm here to help if you need me. But that's the bigger goal. I want to help people, like, because I've noticed too that it's also not really realistic or fair to try to tell everyone to do this full time, because I don't think it's good for everyone to do it full time, because there's people that have good jobs, wives, kids, and maybe they really like their job and they want to do this with 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 15 hours a week. Maybe their wife is at home and she's got some time and the husband's working. So I want to teach people how to do it with the time that they have, how to do at least 1 deal every week. That's my next step.
Nice. You also own rentals right now, right?
Some, yeah.
Yeah. And what has been the best and worst part of being a landlord?
Ooh, okay.
You have a few stories, right? And I think you went viral on a video.
Oh yeah,
right.
the TikTok one, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, the best part by far is the appreciation and the equity, and you know, the big long-term money you can make. The cash flow, I've had deals that
like the wealth you can accumulate.
But I've realized that, you know, the business world is pretty funny. You know, eventually it's going to even out, in the sense of you might have a good rental, right, that you're making, let's say, I don't know, just $1,000 net a month, and you're like, wow, this is great, I'm cash flowing X percentage. But, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic, this is just my experience from the last decade. Eventually there's going to be an event with that property that is going to bring you back down to where the average is.
Like basically, let's say that you have to change the roof, or you have to.
Correct. So like, let's say you're like, you know, to get a good rental now, if you're making 8 or 10% of your money, you're doing well, right, on a rental. And let's say you're making 30% because you got a good deal. Awesome. Eventually, something's going to happen with that rental that you're going to go back down to 8 to 10. That's what I've learned throughout the years. 'Cause I've had rentals that I'm like, damn, I only put 20 grand, and then I got my money back, and I'm making 500 a month. But then something happens that I have to come out of pocket 30 grand or 20 grand or something. So you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually what I've learned is you're going to end up going back to about a 30% margin rental business, if that makes sense. Okay.
Understood.
That's my experience. Okay. Maybe, you know, who knows, but,
like a 30%, you think?
Yeah, around 30 to 40%, I would say, which is still good business, but just in general, right? But what I'm saying is that's the best part. The best part is the equity, all that stuff. The worst part is just, you know, bad tenants. We all have those stories probably if you're doing rentals, but by far bad tenants is worse than repairs. It's worse than bad mortgages. It's worse than high interest rates. It's worse than bad managers. Just you know, bad tenants. That's the worst.
And then it is funny because everyone talks about, you know, having rentals is the best, like cash flow, right? You can retire and just live off the cash flow. But what no one talks about is what you just mentioned, right? Like there's those little details that no one talks about. That is, maybe like you're cash flowing, but then maybe 3 years from now you have to go out of pocket 30,000, right? Yeah. And then when you do the calculations, it's like, it's not that good as everyone is talking about.
Yeah, and I always used to like, remember when like hedge funds were coming into the market? This was maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Hedge funds was hot. Like they were coming and buying rentals from people, and you know, I would talk to some of these hedge funds and say, "Can I see your criteria so see if I could sell you houses?" And I'd see that always put a CapEx, capital expenditure, which is like future money that you're gonna have to invest in the property. I was make fun of them, like, why do they do all that? Now I get it, you know, because like it's going to happen, right? So.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm curious, what was their criteria and their CapEx, all that?
I can't remember exactly, but I remember back then they just wanted a 5% net. 5%
Like 5%
on
net
their
of
money.
what?
Like
On their money.
like if they invested 300,000 after paying everything, they want to make 5% on their money.
Okay, so they were like, let's say
Yield.
that they went cash to buy a rental for, let's say, 100,000. So they wanted to make 5,000 per year
Correct, basically.
after everything.
After everything, yeah.
Okay, well, that's not. I mean, if you think about it, like that's not crazy returns, but maybe they were.
No, but they were buying billions, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
And appreciation too.
appreciation.
Of course.
Yeah, all of them made a ton of money, and everyone's like, look at them, like, why are you paying $5,000 on their MLS price, cash, and like everyone thought they were dumb, but then
And
now they're looking
what
at
about
us.
now?
Now they have, they appreciated billions, and they
Exactly.
saved money on their taxes, and they, whatever, you know. At the end of the day, you know, they were worth billions of dollars for a reason, you know.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like they are hedge funds for something. You know, like
Yeah.
they're not a hedge fund because they are they're doing wrong things, right?
Yeah. Well, you have people like Open Door and Zillow offers that tried some kind of model that failed miserably, you know. It's just the truth. But also they had a different strategy. They actually were trying to flip. But yeah, that's from what I remember with the hedge funds. Now, different hedge funds had different things that they wanted, but the one that we attempted to work with, that's what they were looking for.
Nice. That's great. Can you tell the story of that? I mean, I know that you probably told this story a bunch of times, but that very video that you had about the
tenant.
the tenant. So what happened there?
Yeah, so it was a TikTok that went viral about a conversation I had with a tenant, basically doubling the rent. You know, a house that was purchased, and you know the tenant was there for a long time, paying very low price. We bought it. We either said leave or double the, you know, or the rent is now this, and it just happened to be double. And then it went, you know, we posted it, and it went pretty viral very fast. You know, and it got a lot of, obviously, you know, left-winged people did not like it. But you know, I mean, you're in Miami, so you probably, I think every real estate investor could have related to me. At least every real estate investor that's actually doing deals. Like, how many times is this all the time? Like, I have a deal under contract right now that it's in Georgia. The tenants are paying $400 a month. The rent is now $1,200 a month. So it's even more than double.
Wow.
You know, but they've been there for 15 years and all this stuff. You know, is it evil if somebody buys it and raises their rents? Like, I mean, we're all paying higher gas prices. We're all paying higher everything. You know?
Exactly. Taxes.
Yeah, taxes, everything. So
insurance.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because I look back and I'm like, I could see kind of why it went viral. No one really knows if it's going to go viral or not, right? But I can see because it is very, what do you call it? Like conflictive, you know? You have like tenants that are working class and things are getting harder, and then you have this landlord that's raising the rent, and he's so evil when he could leave it the same.
Yeah.
But then they don't understand that we bought it from the landlord at a price that was today, not 10 years ago, you know, and you're renting for 10 years. So anyways, that was kind of like the story behind it. And it was an interesting time. I got a lot of death threats.
Really?
My mom, they found my mom's number. They called my mother.
No way.
Yeah. They found her on Instagram and Facebook, and they threatened her a bunch of times for no reason. My mom wasn't in it, but
It doesn't have anything to do with
nothing,
your business.
Even I went into Facebook the other day, and I rarely go in there, but I went into my messages and I saw it a bunch. I scrolled down and I still get death threats all the time. It's insane.
Wow.
But overall, it was a cool experience.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, that probably makes a good headline in a in a blog or something.
Yeah,
That's funny. So we're talking, and we're still talking like about tenants, all the situation, landlords. So if you're wholesaling and flipping, when do you think is a good idea to start, you know, keeping some of those to rent, for example?
Ooh, great question. This is a great question. This is also very market dependent, I would say too. But long story short, when you have more than enough money coming in, that's my first answer. So when do you start flipping and renting? When your main business, if it's wholesale or whatever, when you have more than enough money coming in. What do I mean by that? Let's say your expenses are $5,000 a month in wholesale. when you have substantially more than that coming in, 40,000, 50,000, etc. Then, you know, once your bank account is kind of going up pretty fast, then you could invest some of that.
For taxes too, right?
For taxes, yeah. But the main thing is making sure that your main business is steady and making what it's got to make. Mm-hmm. Then once it's doing that, then you could explore it. But now just understand it is a whole other game and a whole other business, you know, managing a contractor and managing this and property managers and getting a tenant. Or if you're going to flip a house and then listing it back on the market and dealing with retail buyers, like it's a whole other thing. And as long as the wholesaler knows that it's not that easy, even if you get the best deal, you know, it's not that easy and it's going to distract you a little bit from the wholesale business. So number one, when you have more than enough money coming in and predictably, you know. Mm-hmm. And number two, if you're aware that it's going to take you some time, and it's going to take you away from the wholesale a little bit, it's going to take you some energy. If you're okay with those things, then go and do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're not clear about these two things, like talk to people who are doing flips and rentals and ask them what it really takes. Because even I know what happens, like, and it happened to me. I made the mistake. You're like, oh, this is a good deal. This will make a good flip. And it's innocent. It's like, yeah, we're getting, yeah, you know, we can wholesale it and make 20 or we can flip it and make 80. Yeah, well, when a spreadsheet's different than real life, you know? So as long as you know that, or the wholesaler knows that's what I would say. Those are
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I was talking to one of my friends this week. Like, yeah, you can make 20K if you wholesale it, like for like in this example, or you can make 80K if you flip it, but like that's on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Like that's the numbers that you're running with, you know, with a pen and paper, right?
Yeah.
But the actual project, the actually handling, like, are you able to do it? Like,
yeah.
it's not the same thing.
Oh yeah, there's so many variables. You know, permits. If you get caught with doing work without permit, angry neighbors, vandalism.
And then, like, the time and energy it keeps you from getting more deals, right?
For sure. That is, it's hard to quantify that on a spreadsheet, but it's real. It's a good point.
Exactly. So basically, now when you're on your business wholesaling, are you right now doing flips too, or only wholesaling for now?
No, I'm just finishing the flips that I have started from that I bought like late last year. But besides that, no, I'm just wholesaling right now.
Nice.
And I'll probably do some wholesales, like I'll buy and resell. As long as it needs less than like 10,000 worth of work or 5,000 less of work, we'll probably do some of those. But even those, I'm very picky because it's just things aren't selling like they used to. But yeah, really no flips at the moment.
Understood. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this podcast has been awesome, man. Like, I really appreciate everything that you've been dropping, every value. What would be your advice to someone that is starting out right now? And I would say in terms of finding a mentor or finding someone that will help you, because, like, think about it. Like, if I haven't done a deal, it's very easy for me to shoot you a DM and be like, hey, Raul, please help me, you know. But, like, what does it take for a mentor to teach someone? Like, how would you approach that, or what's your advice?
Well, it's funny. Like when I got started, I was seeking that. I was that person. I was sending DMs to random people, and my stepfather was like, "Hey, I know this guy that wholesales. His name is Jim," and I'm like, "Can you introduce me to him?" So he did, and I said, "Hey, Jim, I want to learn." And he's like, "Well, it's $5,000." I'm like, "Oh shoot, okay. I didn't think he was gonna say that." I'm like, "Oh crap, I don't have $5,000." So, you know, then I had to borrow money from my stepdad. And he lent me $2,500. I talked Jim into taking $2,500 now, $2,500 later. We split some deals 50-50. So what does it take to get a good mentor? Either money up front or splitting some deals 50-50. Realistically speaking, right? Like, you might have some people that'll help you for free, you know, like if you DM me or email me, or I'm sure people email you or DM you, you'll help somebody. But like to really put your energy and attention, like you got to make something, you know, it's the world, right? It's transactions.
Yeah, it's business, right?
It's business. It's nothing personal. Sorry. It's nothing personal, right? Like, so I think to get a real good mentor, like one that's going to help you complete your first deal, because there's a lot of good advice on YouTube and on podcasts. There's too much, you know, But like, if you really want someone to hold your hand and help you fill out the contract, and what do you say to the seller when they say this? And oh crap, the seller said this. What do I say now? And oh, they want to change this on the contract. What do I do? Oh, the title company said this. What do I say? All these little things that we know from doing deals, someone that's new doesn't know, and they're like, oh, I don't need that. Ugh, you kind of do, unfortunately. I wish it was different. Anyways, long story short, what you could do to get a good mentor is either if you know, money, or if you don't have any money, then offer to split the deal. But you need to put in the work. Like, show the mentor, show the person that you're DMing, show the person you're emailing, or if you go to a meetup group and you meet somebody that's doing more deals, show them that you really want it by sending them, even if they don't ask you, send them like a little picture of your screen and say, hey, I made 200 calls today and got 2 leads. I'll keep you posted if I get one, you know, or sending the mentor like, hey, I'm about to get this one under contract. Do you have any buyers? What price? You know, like, put them involved. Like, people, you want to see, I want to see that someone's like trying, you know?
Exactly.
Look at what you're doing, right? You're doing a podcast. No one's paying you to do this. It's actually costing you money probably to do this. And what you want to see is someone to message you and be like, yo, dude, I listened to that podcast, and because of you, I got my first deal. Tell people that, you know.
Exactly.
If you're really looking for a mentor, be proactive and tell them like where you're at, what you're doing to get to the next step. And because I understand you might not have, like Jim asked me, $5,000 or $2,000 or 1,000 or 100. You might not have it. That's fine. In exchange, you have your time, you have your hustle, you have, you know, your communication.
Exactly.
And that is worth so much. I still do that to this day to mentors that won't even take my money. You know, like really rich people, once you get to like deck 100 millions, they're not really selling mentorships, you know, like people that are worth a couple $1 million. So those people won't even take my money. So I have to like show them like, hey man, my business just did this much. I'm willing to, you know, this is where I'm at. What do you think? You know, so
and provide some type of value, right? Like,
correct.
you have to provide something.
Yeah. Like, so even I practice what I preach and what I say. Like, the mentors I seek out, if they won't accept my money because they don't need it, I have to show them that I'm working towards to be, you know, around their level or in their sphere. You know, that was a long answer, but
Exactly.
hopefully that was helpful.
No, definitely. And like, for example, in my case, what I did with my main mentor that today is like one of my best friends, Ray, shout out to Ray. I went to work for him for free for like 2 weeks.
Nice.
And then once I got my first deal, he had like 50% of the profit, right?
Yeah.
So that was a deal, right? Like, I was like, hey, I don't have too much money, but like I can show up to your office, you know, every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and I will do anything you ask me to do, I'll do it. In exchange, you know, he went ahead and he taught me everything. He literally taught, like, he even showed me his bank accounts, everything. And then once I got here, I made my first deal, and it was a 50K assignment.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was crazy. And it's funny because that's the biggest assignment that I've ever made. It was my first deal. Like,
wow.
Can you imagine my expectations? I'm like, wow, this is my first deal, 50K. That, like, this is gonna be awesome.
It's a spoiled kid right there.
and then like he got a bunch of money off it, and he was like, oh, like, good for you, man. You know.
Yeah.
So that's just like an example of something that I would say that you can do if you're starting out, right?
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, you did exactly. Like, that's the best thing you can do. You don't have money. It's like, I'll work. I'll make offers. I'll call sellers. Like, you tell me, and then we'll split the deal. I mean, dude, that now, like, yeah, it costs you 25,000, let's say, but you've probably made so much more than that. And without that, you wouldn't be here. So
exactly.
You know, it's a lot of people want to be very short-sighted and short-minded, but man, don't think that way. Don't think that way.
And I'm curious, what do you think of, like, when you want to reach like other levels, like you just mentioned, right? Like, you have if you're starting out, you will have a mentor that will help you to reach, you know, 5, 10, 20 deals in a year, whatever. But what about when you are trying to like reach the highest of highest levels, like 100 million, 1 billion, you know, like, how do you think you can reach out to a mentor? If it's possible. I mean, I think it's possible, right? But
yeah, I mean, look, there's groups that you could pay to be a part of, you know, like very expensive masterminds.
Like
know?
$1 million per
Yeah, there was
year
one
masterminds.
that I wasn't a part of it, but I was a part of one right under it. It's called 100 MME. And basically you have to have, I think, grossed 100 million. Don't quote me. I don't remember. I don't know exactly the thing, but it costs $100,000 just to get in, right? And then it costs something every time, whatever. But yeah, you meet people like that are balling, right? Making, you know,
Like-
10, 20, $50 million a year in their business. So you could pay and just get there. And just, finding the people and making an effort to get there. In this world, like through Instagram, through Facebook, through all this, like you could find people. You might have to pay them like $5,000 for an hour, but now you know them. Now they know you. Now they know you're serious.
Exactly.
Like, there's a lot of people you could pay $10,000 for an hour to go. I think Grant Cardone charges like $30,000 an hour or something, and he's worth a lot of money. You could do that with people, and boom, all of a sudden you're in their sphere. You might not connect right away, but now they know of you, and now he might say, "Hey man, look, I can't help you, but look, my friend John, he's in your space. Text him." And now he respects you. Like you just paid $10,000 to be with him for an hour. Like he respects you. Okay,
Exactly.
this guy's serious. Yo, I think you'd be a good connection for John. John here. Now you and John do business. You guys made $1 million. So
Exactly.
that's the way in this time, bro. Like that's the way. It's really that simple. You just need the money, right? But I think if you're making money and you want to like get to the next level,
That's what it takes.
You're gonna have to invest that much money in doing that. It's that's it.
Yeah, because like when you're at that level, when you're doing, let's say, like $1 million per month, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And you want to reach like $10 million per month.
Yeah.
Then I guess that investment is the same investment as if you were starting out, right?
Right.
So it's the best. Maybe it's in money or whatever. Maybe it's in like maybe you have to, I don't know, like gift someone a flip that you have or something. But it's the same investment, right? Like you have to keep investing to get to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. It's relative. If you're making $1 million a month versus 10,000, if you have to invest 1,000 or $1 million, it's like whatever. It's a relative thing. So, man, just not being greedy and understanding that if you find the right person, or if like you understand that, okay, I want to get to this 100 million mark or something. If you have this group of people that are doing it and it cost me $100,000, I went to a wedding last weekend. I went to a wedding last weekend with one of my friends, and he's very well off, and he's a member of a famous golf club here in Miami, and it cost him $1 million to join. Literally.
What?
$1 million.
$1 million?
And I think it's every year's 30 or 50 grand a year. Plus, every time you go play golf, you got to pay like whatever the fee is. So, but
Holy shit.
but at his wedding was like, I didn't meet him, but I saw him. It was the owner of the Messi team, the Miami team, whatever. The
No
soccer
way.
team. Yeah. And then you have the owners of like, et cetera, like very, very wealthy people. But that's his group now. He made the money. He invested $1 million to join this very prestigious place. And now he's surrounded by, every time you go play golf, you sit next to a golf cart next to a billionaire, or you sit next to a golf cart next to the guy who runs a soccer team, and all of a sudden that's your world.
Exactly.
So
yeah, like if you put it in perspective, let's say that you're doing like 10 millions per year, right?
Yeah.
And out of the sudden, like your like top 5 friends, like your top 5 best friends, they're all billionaires, right?
Right.
And you're doing 10 millions per year. You're gonna feel kind of broke.
Yeah.
Right.
Very broke.
Right. And then you're gonna be like shit. Like I have to do something to get at that level. And I'm sure that you'll get somewhere near them very fast, right?
Yeah.
Because they're all doing it.
Exactly.
And they're your friends, and then like you're in that group, so it's like, well, I just have to do what they're doing because they're not smarter than me. Like they weren't born with an extra brain.
No. Yeah, obviously, unless you inherited it or whatever, you're not born with $1 billion. But it's something to say that you were saying earlier, which I really like, is, if you're looking to get your first deal, don't go for the billionaire because you guys are so far apart. Go for someone who's done, deals or kind of still in the game. You don't want to go too far away from where you want to go because sometimes those people are, not all of them, but some could be disconnected. Like they might forget what it felt like to get their first deal. They might forget since they're not in it anymore, they might not know what's working right now. So if you're looking for your first mentor, it's better to find somebody who's in the game that you're looking to be in and someone not too far,
Exactly.
In the beginning, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like if you want to, like, I don't know, like just buy more properties, you won't go to the CEO of the biggest real estate company, right?
Exactly.
Like he doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even know any address of any house they bought, right? Like,
Exactly.
Like the CEO of Blackstone or something. He's gonna be like, I don't even know where we're buying houses, But if you go to like the investor or the flipper or the wholesaler that's doing deals every day in the market, that's the guy or the girl. So that's what I would say, because some people I've seen, they're like, I want to go for the best. I want to reach for that guy. I'd say, do it, but not yet. You know, like
Exactly.
hit to a certain milestone, then go for it. Because let's say you do accomplish to get the CEO of Blackstone by a miracle. I mean, if you really want to wholesale, like that's a really
Exactly.
it's all I'm saying is, yes, you could study the best, but don't aggressively go after like a mentor that's so far. It's gonna really be tough.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, man. Is there anything else that you want to mention? I think we have covered a lot, right?
Yeah, no,
It's been
look,
awesome.
it's your show. I'm here to answer whatever you think might be valuable for your audience. But no, I mean, I appreciate coming on. Just to say, it's awesome to see what you're doing. Young, hungry.
Thank you.
I like we were talking earlier. I have family from Puerto Rico as well, so it's cool to see that.
Yes, sir.
But man, it's just the game has changed. It's always going to be changing, and the only way you lose is if you just stop and give up. That's it. That's the only way you lose. So everyone from a high level, making hundreds of millions, to making one deal a month, like everyone goes through some problems. You're gonna have a month that deals fall through. You're gonna have a month that this happens, or an employee leaves, or the seller says this, or the agent backs out, or whatever. It's going to happen. The only way you lose is if you stop. So,
Exactly.
If you really want this, just don't stop.
Exactly. Wow, that's a crazy punchline. That's awesome. I and before you got here, I was talking to Sebastian about that. I was like, I mean, it like even if you like you have a goal, right? Like whatever it is your goal, and let's say that something tragic happens that you like died throughout that process, like you still won,
Yeah.
because you were on the game, right? And that's what I was thinking. I was like, no matter what, I'm just gonna go towards my goal, and that's it. Like I'm just not gonna stop. Like there's no way I would lose if I just keep going, right? So that's a great perspective to win in life, right? Just keep going.
Yeah, man, and sometimes you might fall short, sometimes you might not, sometimes you might exceed your goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's as long as you just don't fucking stop. That's really it.
Exactly, and that applies to every industry.
Everything, bro. Everything. Yeah.
Nice. Well, man, how can people find you on Instagram and the school community and everything?
Yeah, I mean, everything's on my Instagram, @Raul Balufe. TikTok is the real Raul Balufe. YouTube, Raul Balufe. Yeah, pretty much you search my name and you'll find me, and I have my links there to school, the free school community,
Nice.
my website, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it so much, man.
Yeah,
It was
man,
an
thank you.
awesome podcast.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. Via
Thank you.
Puerto Rico.